Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Extreme Z Awakening that has come out for Chi-Chi Youth. So this is the Immaculately Innocent Approach Chi-Chi Youth, and she received an Extreme Z Awakening as part of the PHY Girls Awakening. Very similar to Pans that have Easy 8 in the past. This Chi-Chi is not actually part of PHY Girls. She is actually just on DB Saga, Youth, Earthlings, and Bond of Parent and Child. It's a shame that she's not on DB Seekers. I know it makes sense for her not to be on DB Seekers, but it would have really helped her out category-wise. Now, in terms of her leader skill, she's an int and physical type lead of key +3 HP attack and defense of 90%. This is not too important. In terms of her super attack effect, she greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, and causes supreme damage with a great chance of stunning the enemy. Some nice utility. In terms of her passive, she has attack of +30 or 330% when performing a super attack. She loses attack of 30% for 3 turns after receiving an attack, and she has ki +2 and defense at 200% when there is a character whose name includes Goku Youth on the team. She also has an additional ki +2 and defense of 100% if that character is attacking in the same turn. She has a chance of performing a critical hit and chance of evading an attack of +20% per youth category ally attacking in the same turn. So generally speaking, you want to run her on a youth team. I think that's pretty apparent in terms of her design, the way she works. So generally speaking, you want to run her on youth so that you can get, that 40% extra evasion chance and crit chance, which is very, very good. In terms of build, I would build her additional. She has pretty accessible crit in her system. Obviously, if you plan on running her on maybe Earthlings or maybe running her on DB Saga, you may not have constantly 2 youth units in your rotation, so you may want to build a little bit of crit as well. But generally speaking, I think additional is great. You can manifest a double chance of her crit and of course her greatly raising attack and defense. Now, in terms of just her in general, the main thing that you're going to want is her to have a Goku in the rotation. Now, there's very few Kid Gokus currently on a global that will really be top tier choices to run alongside Chi-Chi. Fortunately, there is the Goku Youth coming in future, the Path to Power Goku Youth, who is actually a pretty good unit for these type of things. Not only will he give her a better benefit in terms of her team build, but he also will give some buff, some supporting, just a lot overall. And he meets quite a few of the link requirements. Incredible Adventure, Guidance of the Dragon Balls, All in the Family, all are on here, along with also having the Innocence as well. So 3 major links, but also generally speaking just pretty good pairing. Obviously, the only shame is that the unit super attack doesn't technically work for Chi-Chi, which is the only shame. So here, in terms of Chi-Chi, obviously, just to kind of remind you guys that you need to have a Goku on the team for the 200% defense. This is pretty relatively easy. Here we also have, of course, the benefits of having a B-Pan on the team, but we also have Goku in the rotation. So right now we've got a pretty good lineup. Also have a lot of her links active as well. So Chi-Chi is looking pretty good at this point. Defense looking pretty rock solid, and in terms of damage, you're going to see a pretty nice attack stat, 3.6 million. Very solid. Obviously, she could have a little bit higher. We will see her have a little bit higher later on, but no support or anything on the rotation, just generally speaking, pretty good. It's basically, essentially, the only shame is that she's not on PHY Girls. The main reason being is that she would have the benefit of some pretty top tier supports for PHY Girls, but with that being said, she's pretty strong. Obviously, I think you could effectively use her on most of her categories. She'll be pretty solid on DB Saga, she'll be pretty solid on Youth. Earthlings, maybe a little bit more difficult. Your chance of getting a Goku Youth on an Earthlings team is pretty low, but you can probably get a Goku Youth on the Bond of Parent and Child, I think. I'm actually not 100% certain about, but yeah, I'm pretty certain Goku's are on the, on the bond of parent and child. So pretty nice stuff. Overall defense again looking pretty solid. Once more, obviously we're just looking pretty good overall in terms of that defense. 200 or so thousand, and it's going to greatly raise as well. So all fairly solid stuff, I think, overall. So Chi-Chi looking pretty damn good. She's got a really nice kit. She functions really well, I think, link-wise, because of the incredible adventure, because of the guidance of the Dragon Balls. Generally speaking, her link set also seems to do pretty well, and the Innocence being a common link is also pretty decent. If she just had the Fierce Battle, I think she'd be sitting pretty nicely as a linking partner for a lot of Gokus. Obviously, she can't have a link Fierce Battle because she doesn't awaken from Dokkan Awakening medals, but generally speaking, I think she does a pretty solid job. Obviously, I think, just to kind of raise awareness to it, Chi-Chi does definitely need that Goku to function. So that's why I think, as much as she's on the 4 categories, Earthlings is just not really a category she's going to function as serenely on. She'll definitely work on Earthlings in the sense that she doesn't lose any of her spectacular damage or utility, but she has no defense, which is kind of a big deal when you want to look at it. Obviously, we haven't seen her with any defensive support as well, but for the most part, I think Chi-Chi's looked pretty rock solid. Just in terms of her raw defense numbers. You can see how it's being affected now with no Goku on the rotation, and you can see that it definitely does drop down. But now we do have B-Pan's active skill, we do have some attack support as well, so we should see the highest attack stat we can get from Chi-Chi. Now of course you can boost Chi-Chi with a couple of supports. The one shame is that she's not really on Goku's family, which I do understand, because at this time she wasn't on Goku's family, but I think it really would have helped her out if she was on Goku's family. Same as how if she was on Dragon Ball Seekers, I think it would have helped her out. Just giving her a little bit more presence and a little bit more access to some more viable supports. For example, she could be run on Goku's family, linking up with Strength Chi-Chi, who she links up with very, very well. And the two of them could very much, be very solid. That is where the bond of parent and child category comes in. It's probably your best bet of running Chi-Chi alongside some of those other strong supports. The main thing about it though is it's not out yet fully on global, so she does have the chance to get an even better team, which I think is great, but you're not going to be able to get access to that for a little while. So that's really the only shame in terms of that kind of functionality. But beyond that, I think she is an incredible unit that is very, very strong. She has great defense. She has very, very solid defense after super. She brings stunning as well, which is very important. And her damage is also, I would say, very acceptable. She has very good damage, and her damage is less affected by the presence of Goku, which means at least you have a bit more of an unconditional damage and utility that you can bring. Obviously, in terms of links, that's kind of where we need to take a look at Chi-Chi. So links wise, she's okay. Like I said, she'll be pretty good alongside most Kid Gokus or most DB Saga type units. She's got Incredible Adventure, Guidance of the Dragon Balls, all which are obviously very prevalent on those teams. She's then got the Innocence, she's got Shattering the Limit, she's got More Than Meets the Eye, and she's got Battlefield Diva. Battlefield Diva will help her a little bit more if you manage to start running her on like Bond of Parent and Child, where she can link up potentially with other Chi-Chi units, or that's pretty much it. Maybe some Pan units, maybe some Videl units, I guess, are on Bond of Parent and Child. But yeah, generally speaking, that's kind of where the link lies. Because she's not on Pepe Gals, it's just not as prevalent. As much as obviously it's a crucial link to run on the Pepe Gals team, she just can't be run on the Pepe Gals team. So it is kind of a bit of a, I want to say it is a little bit of a hindrance. I think it's very, like, very weird to always have these units that have the Battlefield Diva but on Pepe Gals. I think it's just such a hindrance to them. But, according to her passive, she is technically best run on a youth team anyway. So you're going to want to run her on that. And on the youth team, she's got plenty access to a lot of these links. Sharing the Limit is a great kind of universal link for free-to-play units to have a key. Generally speaking, it's more than fine. And then you also have More Than Meets the Eye, which is probably the harder link to get. The Innocence is fairly common on youth teams as well. So yeah, generally speaking, I think she's pretty solid. She's got a very good link set. More Than Meets the Eye is obviously great. A lot of Chi-Chi pan units have that, but she just technically can't share that yet with those units. So she will in future, which will be fine. But yeah, right now, she just can't really have access to that. But the Innocence, Credible Adventure, Guidance to the Dragon Ball, Sharing the Limit are all generally more than acceptable for her to run on a youth team. And for a lot of the situations, that's going to be more than fine. If you are obviously looking to maybe use Chi-Chi in another capacity, maybe you are desperate to use her in another avenue or something, you could obviously run her on a parent and child team in future. I think that'll probably be where she runs best. You'll be able to have Kid Gokus on there, and in general, alongside the Kid Gokus, you'll be able to have a better array of supports than you currently have on DB Saga and Youth, although that category will be getting a buff in the future. So for now, I think Chi-Chi looks pretty good. She will get slightly better in future, and I think you can look forward to that. But yeah, she definitely is still a pretty good unit. I just think she's a little bit hindered because DB Saga and Youth aren't the strongest teams right now. But I think she definitely could get better. And for now, I think, the way Chi-Chi functions is more than acceptable. But yeah, obviously she's not on Pepe Gals, so that kind of rules out Battlefield Diva. And that's the only real big shame. But that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care, stay safe, and as always, see you in the next video. Bye.